Hello and welcome to another episode of Cascadia Mountain Weather. It's Friday, February 14th. And this graphic here shows the percent of normal precipitation we've seen over almost the last 30 days, from mid-January to mid-February. You can see that most of Washington has received under 50%, really under 20, a lot of areas in the mountains, under 25% of normal precipitation during this period. Even portions of the East Central Cascades have been under 5%. That's incredibly dry for one of the wetter times of year. And it's likely that this period from mid-January to mid-February will go down as also one of the coldest 30-day periods in Washington. Most areas have been in the range of 3 to 6 degrees, maybe 9 degrees below normal. Some areas have been over 10 degrees below normal. So I think a lot of you guys have felt that, with sustained lows in the teens and stuff in the Puget Sound lowlands and in the Willamette Valley. So it's definitely been an unusually cold period and dry. So that weather has definitely diminished our snowpack a little bit relative to normal. It's not like we've seen snow melting, but we haven't seen a lot of snow accumulating at a time of year that we're typically building snowpacks. So the North Cascades have dipped down into the high 60s in terms of percentage. And the higher elevations tend to be a little better, maybe 70 to 80. This is more representative, just like our low elevations haven't gotten much snow all year, despite, a few inches in the cities recently. And the further you go south, the better. A lot of Oregon is actually well above average. A lot of Southern Oregon and Northern California are, 200% of normal. So the storm track has just been generally going to the south of us.
Yeah, so now kind of what is coming up for this weekend. We are seeing a pattern change. It does look like we're going to get out of this drier than normal pattern and unfortunately also this cooler than normal pattern. It would be great to see a bunch of low elevation snow, especially kind of in the 1 to 2,000, maybe even 3,000 foot range that the mountains really haven't seen much this season. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to have that at least in the short term. So this is looking at the snow level forecast over the next week. And this started at 4 a.m. today. And you can see that over the next kind of 2 days, 4 through 4 a.m. Saturday and 4 a.m. Sunday, we're going to see a slow kind of increase in the snow level up to maybe about 3 or 4,000 feet in the north and maybe a little bit higher in the south. But we are going to see some precipitation as well. So that means that we will see snow, especially at the upper elevations and even at the middle elevations to some extent. And then maybe longer term, it does look like there's a chance for atmospheric rivers to start propping up. Maybe late next week. That's still pretty far out, so we'll have to see what ends up happening with there. Um, this is NWAC's snow level forecast for a bunch of different areas, and I just wanted to highlight, you can see kind of this slow rising, but you also see a lot of variation. So, like the Olympics might get up to about 4,000 feet snow level by Sunday afternoon, where to the east will be significantly lower, kind of 1 to 2,000 feet lower. And something to be aware of is that, like, we'll kind of see this continued increase through Sunday afternoon. Things might warm up a little bit earlier or a little bit later. So just be aware that there might be a little bit of fluctuations, and you might start out in snow at the beginning of the day and then end in rain, especially if you're starting at a lower elevation. So we can look at kind of the precipitation coming in. And right now we have like today on Friday, we had a little bit of precipitation in kind of the little kind of convergent zone area. It brought a little bit of snow this morning to Seattle before we started warming up. And then as we move through the day on Saturday, so this is 10 a.m. Saturday, we can see that we have some weak showers kind of moving through. And those will continue to build and increase in intensity as we get into the day, past like kind of into the evening on Sunday and into the early morning hours, or into the evening Saturday and into the early morning hours on Sunday. And so we can look at kind of the total precipitation. And so this is going to bump up in about 12-hour increments. But through the day on Saturday, we won't see that much. You might see some snow showers. You might pick up an inch or two, especially later in the day on Saturday. And then by the end of the day on Sunday into Monday, some areas could see 1 to 2 inches of water equivalent. which could end up leading to maybe even up to about 2 feet of snow equivalent, especially at those upper elevations. We can see that in here. So we'll slowly build up our accumulated snowfall. You can see that it really starts to build up. This is 4 p.m. Saturday, so it really starts to build up on Saturday night into Sunday. When we start seeing these purples and these reds, which are closer or more representative of about a foot of new snow. And then goes through 4 a.m. Monday. I also wanted to highlight, so that was kind of the GFS forecast, the American forecast. This is going to be the European forecast, and they're pretty similar. This is a running 24-hour snow total, but I just wanted to highlight how as we get into the day, this is Sunday morning, so this is at 10 a.m. Sunday morning. The snow will kind of be peaking in the North Cascades where it will be centered and you might get upwards of a foot. And then as we go later into the day Sunday and into Monday, it's actually going to be focused further down south with a little bit higher snow levels. So you can see that these 24-hour totals are now approaching a foot through kind of 10 a.m. Monday, especially south of Mount Rainier and down towards Oregon and stuff like that. But the total snow level or the total snow amounts are going to be pretty similar. So this is going through 10 a.m. Monday, and we can see that probably 1 to 2 feet throughout most of the Cascades, especially up above 4,000 feet, which is where that snow level will kind of end up sitting for a couple days early next week. The good news is that the snow won't actually come in with too much wind. We did see some wind earlier, and Kyle will get into that a little bit later. But the new snow that's coming in, it won't be like blizzard conditions if it is snowing heavily. And so visibility might be a little bit better. And then I just wanted to bring up our point forecast for Snoqualmie Pass. As you can see, the snow is like the temperatures will kind of be in like those 20s and low 30s, 20s at the higher elevations, low 30s. But I wanted to highlight also this winter weather advisory that's going to be coming into effect and the chance that by Sunday, those snow levels might be high enough that you might start seeing actually rain at Snoqualmie Pass.
So now we're going to take a look at like what happened during the last few days with our weather. It's been very cold this week in the Puget Sound lowlands, and when we exit a cold spell, it's almost always accompanied with easterly winds. And that's because you have really cold air over the interior, which cold air is denser, it's higher pressure. And then usually we'll have like a low pressure system, a storm approach the coast. And that kind of sucks air out of eastern Washington and through the gaps. So this is the Alpental NWAC station. And you can see from about Wednesday until Friday morning, we had sustained easterly winds of anywhere from like 20 to 40 miles per hour. And a lot of, if you look through the NWAC observations, a lot of people reported cracking snow and wind slabs. We had all this like dry, light snow that's really easy to move around and form wind slabs. So it's especially has impacted the passes, but even areas away from the passes like Crystal and Baker have seen easterly winds, and that's definitely something to keep in mind. Although it won't be windy from the east this weekend, how have those east winds like affected the underlying snow? So currently the NWAC forecast is moderate to considerable in different ranges, but there's definitely a variety of issues that they're concerned about. So we'll dive into the Snoqualmie forecast for Friday and Saturday. So there's a few different things that they're worried about. They're looking at, wind slab is the most common, most likely problem. We've had strong east winds, and keep in mind that although they're east winds in local terrain features, they could come from the south, they could come from the north. It depends on how the wind interacts with the valley. But then, beyond that, they're also still concerned about the persistent slab. And this is due to the drier and colder weather that we've had throughout the last month. And I think there's generally a little bit of uncertainty with how, new snow and warming snow and wind slabs could interact with that persistent slab. So definitely take a look at the NWAC forecast before heading out in the backcountry. So finally, the long-term 8 to 14 day outlook is unfortunately warm and wet. So, you know, enjoy the cold while it lasts for another day or two. But hopefully we can get some more, seasonably cool temperatures and snowfall later this winter. Thank you, and we hope you have a great weekend.